It was just after 2 a.m. this morning. This is Sunday the 29th of October. Our firefighters were responded to a warehouse on fire on the Great Western Highway at Girraween. It's just west of Parramatta. Now when the first trucks arrived, they found the centre of the building well alight, the flames venting high into the air, maybe 20 to 30 metres. They've increased the response. It was a significant fire and expanding rapidly across this complex. It's about 80 metres by 50 metres. We've currently got 20 fire trucks and more than 100 firefighters working to contain this fire. It's now just before 5 a.m, so 3 hours into this firefight, we're starting to get the upper hand. There's been significant structural collapse. It's looking like this building has been destroyed with its contents. Being a warehouse, it had a high fuel load for our firefighters, and that's evident by the intense blaze. One of the challenges with this fire was getting enough water onto the fire. The water mains out the front just couldn't provide the amount of water we require to fight a fire of this size. So firefighters picked up water from adjoining streets or streets some distance away and pumped it into this fire, into the trucks at the fire scene. We currently have 4 ladder trucks working the fire. That's the aerial ladder trucks that get up over the fire to get water into those hard to get areas. We've got our firefighters who specialise in hazmat. They're monitoring the water runoff. With this sort of fire, we've only used water. We haven't used any firefighting foam. What we're seeing now is the excavator moving in. The plans have come together well once all the approvals went through to make sure that whatever plan has been developed is safe to not only the workers on site here and our firefighters, but also to the community. Our intent here is to make this building safe so our firefighters can get in and get complete extinguishment of that fire. Once we get the fire out, we stop the smoke going over the community at the moment. And as the excavator's working, I can feel the heat off that container. Those containers, there's actually 5 of them in there. They've been burning for more than 36 hours now. They've had a significant fire come through that building. Whatever's inside them is continuing to burn. Now the firefighters have moved in. The excavator had opened the doors. There was no backdraft. There was a lot of smoke built up, which vented out. Now firefighters using their hose lines, they've got breathing apparatus on. They've also got a thermal image camera there, so you'll see that hanging off the firefighter. Now they'll start to use that and work it as they check for the temperature and their effectiveness of putting the fire out. We're on day 3 of this large storage and warehouse facility. We've still got some small pockets of fire burning, so firefighters are still on scene doing their fire duty. The engineers have been in and this place is safe to enter. But as you can see, the steel, large steel beams, predominantly strong, very strong, but when impacted by fire, losing 2/3 of their strength at about 700 degrees, and then they also expand, so they soften, weaken and expand. And as you can see through the unique shape we have on that beam, that's exactly what's happened, and that's why firefighters take a defensive approach and fight fires from the outside. Once a fire has gone into flashover, where the fire is so intense, looking at 500, 600, 700 degrees, the metal roof holding this fire in, and a couple of other unique situations on this fire and the fuel load that we had inside. Multiple occupancies, as I said before, about 90 metres by 50 metres, a forklift, a liquid petroleum gas cylinder, full, has melted away. Suggests this one has blevied, a bit of the cylinder is there. That's a boiling liquid expanding vapour explosion. But we've got a better example of a blevy from an LPG cylinder, that liquid petroleum gas over here, which I'll take you to now. Another forklift in this fire. Again, the beams, they're large beams, super strong until until an intense fire gets on top of them and weakens. You can see how it's weakened and sagged and pulled the roof down, which assists or initiates the structural collapse. But here we have another forklift, part of day-to-day business. All businesses have them. Liquid petroleum gas fueled. Now this is a Blevy. You can see here that liquid petroleum gas cylinder has overheated, extreme pressure built up, fatiguing the metal. The pressure inside has caused the rupture and explosion. Look at that, that cylinder has peeled away. The ends are safe. During firefighting operations, one of the things we're trained at the earliest stages is in these situations, the strongest parts of an LPG cylinder is the ends, and there's a good example. Although I still don't want to be too close to it, I can tell you that. But there, the centre of the cylinder has weakened and peeled off, letting that gas out, which would expand significantly. I forget the exact amount, it's 270 odd times, I believe. I'd have to go back to the textbooks, other than to know that it's expanded and ignited, and no doubt this one would have gone off with quite a bang. And when I was here on the Sunday morning when this fire was fully involved, well developed, there were numerous explosions through this, and this had explained one of them. Well, it's about 62 hours or 2.5 days later. Finally, we've got this fire completely out, and the building has been handed back to the agents of the owner. You know, we've probably had more than 50 fire trucks and 200 firefighters work this scene over the last 2.5 days. Our expert fire investigators have been on scene working with police forensics. They do 2 independent investigations, and our fire investigators can actually be called to testify in a court of law. Whether that's going to be the case here in this instance, we're not to know at this stage. But the investigators arrived here this morning. They were able to get in the building after the excavators had made it safe, and took their photos, had a look at the evidence to have a look at where and how this fire started. Firefighters are now working, rolling up all of the hose that was still left over. A lot of the hose has been taken. A lot of the hose is too badly contaminated. We just leave it on the incident ground for the demolition teams to dispose of it. Well, thanks for watching the video Fire Rescue New South Wales has put together for you. We quite often focus on the actual firefighting operations. A lot of the times we don't talk about all the work, the arduous work, the ongoing work that goes on once that initial response to fire has been contained. So I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you've taken something out of it. I'm Superintendent Adam Dewberry. Thanks very much for listening.